Welcome to my channel. My name is Tolu. I'm a Christian dating coach and I specialize in helping women of faith go from single to married in a year. So if you want to work with me one-on-one and you're a Christian single woman that's over 30 with no active dating life, then definitely apply for my Dating to Married program where I show you how to go from single to married in a year. So I wanted to talk today about guys you don't like you. And if you can relate with this, drop it in the comments. Just drop a yes in the comments if you're watching this live. So I wanted to talk about this because firstly, let me confirm, can you hear me? Just drop a yes in the comments if you can hear me. So the first thing I wanted to mention is it's really important for you to be able to know what exactly are the traits of the men that you like. Okay, a lot of you are dating men you are not attracted to. A lot of you are giving attention, affection, your time, your energy to men, if we're being very honest, that you're not interested in. And this is usually because you've heard something along the lines of you're wasting your time waiting for the kind of guy you want, or you don't have any time left at all, or you've been previously married, it's time for you to reduce your expectations. Something along those lines is kind of the rhetoric that you've been hearing, that people have been telling you, friends, family members, peer groups have been telling you that you're asking for too much. Meanwhile, that's not true. What actually needs to happen is you need to be clear on what exactly it is you want. So with the men that you do like, why do you like them? What is it about these men that you're finding attractive, that you're finding interesting, that is keeping you engaged? Why exactly are they getting your attention? Now, what I found in my work is a lot of Christian women are not clear on what it looks like to be physically, sexually attracted to a man and not get distracted by his spiritual qualities and his emotional qualities. Focus as well on what you find physically attractive and sexually attractive about that person, because that will help you understand holistically what exactly is it that you find attractive. Now, when you're clear on this, it is going to immediately change the way in which you view men, first of all. And secondly, it will help you define and anchor what exactly it is that you desire in a partner. Okay, there are certain qualities that God has placed in your heart that you desire in a man that is also physical, also has to do with sexual attraction, not just spiritual and emotional. A lot of you are so focused on, he's a Christian, he's kind, but are you attracted to him? Because the problem is you are now settling for men that do not even match or meet what exactly you want in a partner up to 50%. So when I'm working with my clients, what I like to do is a dating audit, which basically means we look at your factual dating experiences, your previous marriage, your previous relationship, the men that you're currently entertaining, the situationship you're in, the men that you've been talking to on the phone for days, the men that you've been going on dates with. We do a full audit to be able to see the trajectory of where you are facing when it comes to dating. The men that you've been entertaining is going to tell you a lot of what to expect over the next 6 months. So it's a good indication of the direction you're facing by simply looking at where you currently are. It's kind of like when you're going on a trip and you want to know your expected time of arrival. You check the distance left from where you are so that you know exactly how many more minutes before I get to my destination. Is there any expectation of traffic? If there were traffic, how long will it take? If there was no traffic, are there alternative routes? That is why it's important to know where you are based on where you are going, okay? Same thing with dating. The reason I like doing an audit is to be sure that, okay, you want to get married. What is your current dating experience? If you're talking to men that you're not attracted to, you're talking to men that aren't holding your interest or attention, you do not find interesting in any way, shape, or form, you are literally going the wrong way. Because when you get closer to meeting your husband, the men that you should be meeting, you should be entertaining, should at least be attractive to you, should at least be getting your attention on a more substantial scale. I mean, more than one thing. It shouldn't just be because he's a Christian. It shouldn't just be because he's kind. They should be able to hit the mark of what you want on multiple levels, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and sexually, in terms of you are attracted to them, you find them interesting, you find them desirable, there is a mutual level of connection there that is natural, there is chemistry that is present, not forced, not the one you are looking for, not the one that makes you confused and question if your desires are legitimate. No, chemistry does not need explanation. It's either there or it's not there. That's why, it's very important for you to be able to understand that if you are liking men that don't like you, it's because also you're not even available to those men in the first place. Because you're entertaining men you do not find attractive, you're in one situationship or the other, you're stuck in a cycle of dead-end relationships that end after every 3 months, you are constantly going back to your ex, you've been dating the same man on and off for 5 to 10 years now. That's why the men that you like they don't like you. You are not emotionally available. You are not visible. You may be physically visible, but spiritually and emotionally, you are not visible. There is no room for them to experience your substance as a woman because a lot of it is being sucked, drained, and basically being taken roundabout in every direction, so that when you interact with these men, they cannot feel your substance. They cannot feel the energy that you should be bringing within conversations, within connection, as a truly single Christian woman. Okay, that's the first thing. So what I like to do with my clients, like I said, is in the Dating to Marry program, when we work together one-on-one, we start with an audit. Very important for us to do the audit so that we can literally track where are you in the dating process. I have what I call a dating ladder, but basically lets my clients know how far along are you in dating to meet your husband. Because guess what? The closer you get to meeting the right man for you, the easier it will be for you to connect with men that look exactly like him, and not in a counterfeit way, because I believe you get to choose your husband from a pool of men. I believe you meet multiple men that match a number of criteria that you desire in a partner, and you simply choose the experience you want for your marriage from those men. Now, this is how I help my clients get to a point where they are getting into committed relationships leading to marriage in a year, because they are dating according to the destination they have in mind in terms of the marriage they want, the man they want, and the mission they believe they've been called to carry out as a wife, as a mother. Okay, so it's important that you have, and some of the things I've said, you don't have it. And you may say, okay, but what does this have to do with a guy that I like not liking me? It has everything to do with it, because if you don't know how to carry yourself in a way that matches and mirrors the kind of marriage you want, the kind of man you want to be partnered with, that man will not be attracted to you. It's kind of like saying you want to, you guys, if you've watched any of my lives, I like using the example of career paths. So maybe you wanted to be, a lawyer or a doctor. You have to show up for what is required to be able to get your license to practice as a lawyer. You have to be going to the law school. You have to be sitting the law exams. You have to do your time in observation in court. You have to have some form of legal experience. They'll place you somewhere to get some legal experience before they put you in a position whereby you have your license to practice. And even at that, you have to keep up with what is legally required for you to maintain that license to practice. It's a path, okay? So using that analogy, if you want, and to be able to do all those things, you need to show up. You need to be showing up for the classes. You need to be reading the books to take the exams. You need to be applying for the jobs once you have your license. You need to show up in a particular way and represent yourself properly at interviews and conversations you're having with potential colleagues. That's how you get the opportunity of the law firm of your dreams, the kind of work environment of your dreams. Same thing with the man of your dreams, these men that you're liking. you need to be able to show up in a way that allows them to see that you are a quality option when it comes to potentially connecting on that intimate level. But they can't experience you like that because a lot of you, your dating experiences are very shallow. And when I say shallow, this is kind of leading to my next point. When I say shallow, I mean it has no substance. It is literally staying on a surface level. You've never been pursued by a man intentionally. That's not a substantial dating experience. You've never experienced a man showing up for you, buying you gifts, taking you out, protecting you emotionally, matching your values, and being a covering in an active way in terms of how he is not only protective of your emotions, but respectful of your faith. You've not experienced that in any capacity. You've never experienced a situation where a man that you are interested in and attracted to is also attracted and interested in you. Again, you're dating on a surface level. You've never actually experienced all those qualities you've listed. You've never seen them in a person, and more specifically in a man in the category of being a partner. And the reason for that is because your dating is on a surface scale. To dig into dating on a substantial scale, you really need to be in a position to experience what it feels like, what it looks like for you to have conversations with men that are casual, friendly, flirtatious, feminine, without any emotional expectations attached. So you want to give room for the men that you are interested in to also pursue you. You want to give room for the men that you find match the values you want to also experience seeing those values in you as a woman. That is part of the process of being positioned and being visible to the right men. Let me know if this is helpful. Drop it in the comments or tap the heart. That is why when I'm working with my clients, women have a list. It's natural. As a woman, you have a list of qualities that you want in a partner. But the problem with your list is it is too basic. So when I say it's too basic, you're just listing out all these qualities. But if I ask you, okay, how are you going to meet a man with these qualities? Have you ever experienced it before? How are you making yourself available, and so on and so forth? How do you match these qualities? It becomes a struggle to answer that part of the question, which is why I help my clients come up with what I call a hobby list. That's short form for husband. So a hobby list simply outlines for my clients, okay, these are the qualities you want in a partner on a holistic level, spiritually, emotionally, physically. How are you showing up to be able to practically experience coming into contact with these qualities? How are you increasing the chances of meeting these kinds of men? Have you met men like this before? Why not? Okay, how can we implement it in your dating strategy so that you are creating opportunities and we can actively track how these men are potentially going to come into your life on a consistent scale? So in the Dating to Marry program, the practical aspect of dating is highlighted because a lot of you are dating in your head. And you guys know I'm very direct, so I just say it as I'm thinking it. A lot of you are dating in your head. What I mean by that is you have this ideal experience you want from men in your head, but you've never seen it in real life. You want a man, you're like, I want a man that is kind, that is caring, that is God-fearing. Do you actually know what that looks like? Do you know what it is to be available, to be visible to that kind of man? It's kind of like talking about a location you've never been to before and somehow expecting yourself to appear in that location. Maybe you've never been to Spain. You're talking about, I want to go to Spain. I want to experience their food. I want to experience the culture, the music. I really see myself on the beaches in Spain. I see myself strolling down the streets. You're just talking, but you're not actively creating opportunities for that to happen. Using that example, okay, when exactly are you going to go to the Spain? What is the opportunity you're creating for yourself to make it happen? Is it that you need to save? Is it that you just need to book a flight? Is it that you need to take time off work? How long are you going for? That is what will actually make that experience a reality. And this is what I mean by how a lot of you are approaching dating. You're like, I want a man that is God-fearing, kind, and this guy I like, he looks like he has those qualities. But you don't know because you've not had any actual connection with him or connection on the more advanced level. Your connections have been hi, hello, very surface level. Maybe you're liking each other's posts on Instagram. You're dropping the odd, how are you? You are running into each other at the mall. You both work in the same office. That is the extent of your experience of that person. So it is not the reality of who they are. And that is a problem, because what you will find, using the analogy of Spain, is when you actually go to the Spain, you may not particularly like how hot it is. You may not like walking down a particular street. You may find that you are having an allergic reaction to some of their dishes. What I'm trying to say is the reality does very rarely matches the fantasy. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse, but it very rarely matches the fantasy. It's the same with dating. A lot of you are dating with this ideal of the kind of guy you want, and the men that you think you're attracted to. The true reason you're attracted to them is because of the idea you have of them in your head. You've never actually been in a situation where you have interacted with those men, connected with them, gone on dates with them, been in a position for them to pursue you. So if we're being really honest, you don't actually know if you like them. Which is why when you are dating, you want to create opportunities to actually date. So when I'm working with my clients, we build this hobby list of qualities that make it easy for them to know what they are looking for, how they can create opportunities. Because I'm very into the practical aspect of dating as a Christian woman. It's very important that you're practical. Faith without deeds is dead. James 2:26, one of my favorite scriptures, because it shows that you need to partner with the Holy Spirit to experience the reality of what you are praying for. Okay? You need to actively partner with the Holy Spirit to experience the reality of that. So, for example, you're talking about how you want to date this kind of guy. I don't know, like he's a Christian, serves in church, he's kind, he's considerate, and you've met somebody that you think has those qualities, but you don't know them. You've never had more than a basic interaction with them. Your understanding of them is simply their representation of how they put themselves out into the world. So when you are dating, you actually want to create opportunities to meet, talk to, connect with these men so that you can experience the reality of who they are. So when I'm working with my clients and we build a hobby list, it is for that reason. That's why I make it as practical as possible. Okay, so if there's an active man in your life right now, like some of my clients may come into my program saying there's somebody that they're considering, we create a simple plan for them to be able to see how they can build on a connection with that person based on actual experience, not fantasy. I'm not a fan of fantasy. Let's stop dreaming and start doing. So we create opportunities together to be able to help them. Okay, where did you meet this person? How can we navigate depending on the stage they are? Some are actively already, maybe saying hi, hello to these men. Okay, how can we create more opportunity for conversation, for connection, so that they get to experience what it is actually like to talk, to connect with that kind of person. Now, what's interesting is when my clients do this, sometimes they lose interest. They lose interest in those kinds of men because they've now seen the reality of what they thought they wanted. They have not only, how scripture says, taste and see. They have not only seen it, but they have tasted it. So they understand, oh, okay, this is how, Jide is actually as a person. This is how Tom is. This is how Brian is as a person. Let me tweak my list a bit. I thought I liked these qualities. I don't really. You see what I'm saying? So the reason why this is important is as you are dating to marry, you do need to date. You can't just wake up married. And if you do, you should be worried because probably something went wrong. I mean, people that wake up with a ring on their finger and can't have a memory of how it happened usually are, a bit disoriented and worried. To put it simply, I just gave that example, like waking up in Vegas married. You all know the random churches priests that marry people at these various locations. But what I'm getting at, that was an aside. What I'm getting at is it's important for you to actually experience if what you want is what you want, okay? Just because it looks like somebody you're attracted to doesn't necessarily mean that he is going to be somebody you're attracted to. Like, for example, I'll give you another example. One of my clients, she was meeting men, talking to men, and her now husband, initially she was attracted to him and all of that, but the qualities that ended up being highlighted to her through the process of meeting other men became more important through that process, and she found them more attractive in her now husband. Do you see what I'm saying? Because she had the opportunity to see if what she wanted matched what she was actually experiencing. But a lot of you don't have any reference points. You're just dreaming things up about how you ideally think a guy should act, look, and treat you. But you need to have reference points. You need to be able to pinpoint, okay, I went on a date with this guy. He had this kind of job. Maybe this may not work for me. Actually, I find that this is something that I find interesting, something that I want, and so on and so forth. So it's important for you to understand what it looks like to experience what you want. Another reason why guys you like don't like you is you're just not talking to enough men. So the reason I'm saying that is you're not meeting enough men with the qualities you do find attractive, which lets me know you're not meeting enough of the right men. So because you're not meeting enough of the right men, the one guy that seems to have the qualities and may actually have the qualities you find attractive, you laser focus on him, hyper focus, zone in on him to your detriment. You come on too strong, you're a bit too excited, he doesn't have room to pursue you. When you're too eager with men, too excited, too available, it makes it difficult for them to pursue you. You are killing his desire to pursue. You want to create room for a man to pursue you. You want to create room for a man to actively show you interest. And you cannot do that if you're giving him all the time in the world, all the availability, showing him all the emotions. And that's why they don't like you, because you're too eager. Now, what I found is the problem there, like I said, is that you're just not meeting enough men that match what you do like in a potential partner. So to solve for that, you just need to create more opportunities to meet the men that match what you want. So when I'm working with my clients, I help them create opportunities in their daily routine to be able to meet men that match what they want. I help them to create opportunities online to be able to meet men that match what they want. It's why they are able to create a roster of men that are in a position to pursue them in a way that they are not killing his desire to pursue. So when you're talking to John and Tim and Jason and Brian, for example, and they are all men you're attracted to, and they are all men that are showing you interest, you are unlikely to act too eager, too available, to be too too forward, because you are balanced. In other words, you have seen options. And that is what I show my clients how to do, how to create a roster that they are excited about. Because part of the reason why you're thinking about Jason that only sees you as a friend, I did, a post earlier today, if you're watching this on Instagram, about how men put you in 3 buckets, whether they see you as a friend, they want something for you, or they potentially see you as a partner. Now, when maybe you're trying to get Jason to notice you and all Jason sees you is as a friend, what will be interesting is, and you will note this if you have this example in your life, is when you stop giving Jason that attention, that affection that should be reserved for somebody that is actually interested in connecting with you intimately, you will notice that Jason will start to pay attention to you more, because it's just natural for men to want to pursue. It's very natural. So part of the reason why guys you like don't like you is you're just not giving them room to pursue. You're not giving them room to pursue. You don't know how to create availability for them to pursue. A lot of you are creating availability not to be pursued, but you don't know how to create availability to be pursued, like creating opportunities to go on dates, being flirtatious, being feminine, inviting interest in a way that doesn't make you look demeaning, that doesn't make you look desperate, and that doesn't make you look distracted. It's a skill that I show my clients how to do so that they are able to be confidently feminine in a way that makes them irresistible, so that the men that they are interested in start actively pursuing them and start actively seeing them as potential partners. If you notice that men are mostly putting you in the friendship bucket, the problem there is you're not creating enough desire in men in general. If you are noticing men are tending to put you in a bucket of taking advantage of you emotionally, sexually, financially, whatever way, then your problem is you really need to pay attention to how you are creating visibility when it comes to the way men perceive you. So it has something to do with the way men are perceiving you as a person, and more specifically as a woman, that you need to adjust. The bucket you really want to be in is when men see you as a partner or a potential partner. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean every man you meet sees you as his wife, but he knows you are wife material. He knows that, okay, this is a woman that is substantial. This is a woman that is resourceful. This is a woman that carries a lot of value. This is a woman that stands out. That message should be translating to the quantity, to 80% of men you meet, because the other 20%, they are just not smart enough. But 80% of the men you meet, that should translate to them in a tangible way. Now, the reason why you're not experiencing that, if you're noticing men are not seeing you in the partner bucket a lot, it's because your value isn't visible enough. That's why that is happening, okay? It's not your age. It's not the fact you're divorced. It's not the fact you're a single mom. It's not the fact that you're over 40. It's not the fact you're over 30. It's not your location. It is literally because your value isn't visible. It's that simple. So when I say your value isn't visible, I mean that men are not seeing you as a desirable woman. So when I'm working with my clients, I show them how to lead with their value. I show them how to make it a present part of their interactions in general, in society, in workplace environment, in conversations with men, flirting, being feminine, in going on dates, because it creates a natural desire for men to pursue. They just naturally start wanting to pursue, because anybody that sees anything of value wants it. It's just natural. If you see something that has value attached to it, your brain doesn't have to do a lot of work to tell you that this is something that you should have. Okay? This is something that you should pardon me. This is something that you should want. You don't need to be doing any convincing. The reason guys you like don't like you is because you're having to be doing a lot of convincing. Oh, I need to show him I'm friendly. I need to show him I can also be funny. Should I say this? Should I not say that? I don't want to be too forward. If you're having those conversations with yourself, I can tell you for a fact, your value is invisible. You're not confident in your value. That is part of how I know your value is invisible. Because if you were confident in it, those kinds of thoughts won't be entering your head. If you know you have something that is worth a lot, it brings confidence. You don't carry a Chanel bag, for example. You all know I like keep referencing Chanel. You don't carry a Chanel bag and think, oh, let me hide it. You know, maybe I should just put it in a corner when I go out. Let me not carry it this way. No, you walk confidently with it. You put it very firmly beside you, because it creates a certain impression of who you are as a person, as all brands do, depending on the brand. It's the same thing with your value. Your value is what shows people your brand, your branding. If you're communicating in an insecure way, your value is insecure. If you're communicating in a way that lacks confidence, your value lacks confidence. But this is why when I'm working with clients, I like to really go into the details of what it means for them to individually carry their own value points. Another thing that I've discovered that a lot of women do, that I correct when we work together one-on-one, is learning how to value stack. So if you have this problem, the issue you're having is you give too much value too soon. So I'll give you a very simple example. You're acting like his bank account. You're thinking, oh, I'm a nice person, let me just lend him money. You're thinking, oh, you know, he asked me, he hasn't planned the date, let me ask him. No, that's not a good example. Let me give you another one, because I don't want anybody to misconstrue anything. That's an example that I'll reserve for my clients that I can coach through it. You're giving a guy what's the word? You're giving a guy no desire to pursue. There's nothing. He calls you today, you're available. If he says, oh, let's meet up in the next 2 hours, you are there. You're not leading with your value. You're not creating a desire for that man to pursue. He won't take you seriously. That's the simple way of putting it. So when I talk about value stacking, I'm talking about learning to build your value step by step, in terms of learning to build on your value level by level is a better way of putting it, so that the man that meets you today doesn't experience you the same way as he will if he's gotten to know you 3 months down the line. There should be, as women, we carry many hats, and as a woman, you know this, you are a multifaceted individual, okay? you are a woman that has many sides to her, and there's a reason God made you that way. And part of the reason, speaking specifically to dating to marry, is so that the men that you are dating can experience all these different versions of you in a way that makes it simple for you to know who your partner is. But the problem is, if you don't know who these different versions of you are going to be confused. You are going to be thinking Seun that has been talking to you for months is a serious candidate when he's not taking you seriously. You are going to be paying attention to Jason that you don't find attractive, but you are not confident enough to say no to because you're afraid of being alone. You are going to be talking to Tim that we both know is an ex that you've been going back and forth with for years and is never going to settle down with you, and he's not somebody that takes you seriously. You are going to be giving room for the guy that you like that doesn't like you to keep not liking you, because guess what? Anytime he texts, calls, likes a picture, you go into hyperdrive, you start daydreaming. It's because you don't know how to value stack. And the root problem is you're not sure of what your value is in the first place. So when I'm working with my clients, I like to make sure they are clear on this is what your value is, this is how it can be tangibly perceived, and this is how you can stack on it on each level so that it is simple for you to, more importantly, know the right kind of men, be visible to the kind of men you want to attract, and let them see you in a way that makes you desirable to them. Okay? So the reason guys you like don't like you is because of those things. You are not leading in a visible way that makes you attractive to them. Okay? Think about it like this. People have different interests. Maybe you're talking to a chef. Their interest is potentially and quite highly probably food. If you're talking to a travel enthusiast, their interest will be travel. But if you don't know the kind of person you're talking to, you aren't sure what is going to get them interested. Which is why I initially started this life by saying you need to at least know, okay, what is it about men that you like that don't like you, that you find attractive, so that you can create opportunity for conversations, for connection. And that is part of the process that I walk my clients through, that is able to completely change the way they connect with men they find attractive. They're able to create opportunities for themselves to go on dates and enter relationships that lead to marriage within a year. Another thing I want to mention here, and if you guys have any questions, drop it in the question box, drop it in the chat. Another thing I wanted to mention here is you cannot create opportunity for what you want if you are not available for it. A lot of you're just not available. You're not available to date because you're stuck in one situationship, or you're emotionally still invested in an ex. You're not available to experiment through the dating process because you are so fixed on the destination. So what I mean by that is you want to get married so bad that you are ironically making it difficult for it to happen, because you are not creating opportunities for you to step into the marriage you want. You assume that the path for you to go from single to married is a straight line. It is a winding path, let me tell you. And I'm sure you've experienced some of this, some of these curves, some of these highs and lows. It is a winding path, but you need to know where you are on that path to be able to navigate what needs to shift for you to meet the kind of man that you want. Okay, so part of the reason why you haven't met, or you are struggling to meet the right kind of men, that is men that are exciting to you, that are interesting to you, it's just because you haven't created the opportunity for that to happen. And one of the first steps you need to take is taking accountability for what needs to change in your journey. What do you need to adjust? How have you been making yourself available to men that you need to do more and less of? Where do you need to make some shifts in terms of how you are having conversations with men, committing to men? That is what needs to actually be worked on for you to meet the kind of men you want. And I'll give you an example of a client. So she was struggling to meet men that she was attracted to. She was against, she tried the online dating, but it wasn't working for her. Then I said, let's do it a different way. let's try online dating in a different way. So I showed her same platform, same everything, but I changed the way she put her pictures up, the way she put her prompts up, the way she presented herself online. Within 72 hours, she was connecting with men she was excited to talk to and going on dates planned within a week with men she was literally looking forward to meeting and getting to know. Simple shift in her process, simple adjustment, simple tweak. It wasn't a matter of, oh, let's just sit and pray and fast. It was a matter of, how can we be practical about what you are currently doing, and how can we experiment to make sure that you do not keep getting the same disappointing result. So it's important that for you to be in a position for guys you like to like you, you need to look at yourself and ask yourself, how am I making it difficult for myself to be liked by the men that I want? That's a really important question you need to ask. How am I making it difficult for myself to be liked by the men that I want? What am I doing that is getting in my own way that I need to pay attention to? That's why when I'm working with my clients, I like to, like I said, start with an audit so that we know what's working, what's not working, what do we need to change, so that we can track your progress and actually look at facts and figures in terms of, okay, you're now attracting more men that match so and so values and less men that do not match these values. Or you're noticing, okay, we need to change the way you're communicating with men. The devil is in the details, literally, as the saying goes. The problem is that you don't know those details. So it's not like these men don't like you, it's that you are not even sure why they don't like you. You're not sure why they don't like you. And until and unless you are very intimately aware of the way men perceive you, positioning, like I'm seeing a comment about, I believe in strategic positioning. Very important. So do I. It's part of what I teach. It's part of what I coach on. And speaking specifically about position, because it's related to this point, it's important that you know positioning is all about how men perceive you and pursue you. That's how you know how you're positioned. If men are, and how you know how men perceive you, again, is based on the 3 buckets. If men are mostly approaching you for money, sex, or mostly approaching you as friends, or mostly approaching you for commitment, you really need to ask yourself why for each situation to be able to know what you want to change and what you need to adjust to get more of what you want. That's how you know how men perceive. How you know how men pursue is based on what are they doing. Forget what men are saying. What are they doing? Are they actually taking you on the dates? Or are they asking you to come over to their place? Are they disappearing after a couple of conversations? Or are the conversations increasing in quality and substance? Are they actually interested and remembering what you're telling them? Or are they mixing up your name, forgetting to ask you questions? Is the texting reducing? That is how you know how men are pursuing. Now, if you see a high correlation with the men you're talking to tending not to, if you're seeing a high correlation between men you're talking to and the fact that they're ghosting, they're not following up in conversations, they're losing interest, then a lot of men are not pursuing you. And what needs to change is the way you create the desire in men to pursue. So there's something off about your positioning. So that's how you target it. And that would also inform how you create opportunities for the men you like to like you back, okay? And then if you have any questions, guys, drop it in the question box. But yeah, so another question I have here is, how strategic can you be? As strategic as possible. There's no limit to strategy. I'm a huge fan of strategy. I do not think if you want something, you have to be strategic about it. If you want to, I don't know, get more fit, you can't just say, I want to get more fit. No, there has to be a strategy. Are you weak on nutrition? Do you need to build up your nutrition? Are you weak on fitness? What is the strategy behind adopting fitness into your routine? Because that's the only way you're going to get more fit. That's strategy. Strategy is not just general. Strategy has to be specific to you. So, for instance, you guys know I love exercise and I also like food. I like food a lot, but I also like to exercise, thankfully. But here's the thing. What works for me, like if I want to, gain more muscle, will not necessarily work for you because we have 2 completely different lifestyles. You may not have a problem with eating clean, but I may have a problem with eating clean. You may not have a problem. You may be a completely, in fact, it's as specific as your body type. You may be trying to build more upper body muscle or lower body muscle, whatever it is. I may be trying the opposite. So the strategy has to reflect on the person. So the same with dating. Your strategy has to take into account your lifestyle, your routine. So I always say there are only two ways you meet people, and more specifically men. It's either going to be virtual or it's going to be organic. So when I say organic, that means it's going to come through your routine, your relationships, friends, family, events, whatever, or it will be virtual. It could be Instagram, it could be an online dating app, it could be a networking platform, it could be LinkedIn, it could literally be anywhere, but in the virtual network. Point is, those are the only two ways it happens. Now, if you are somebody that doesn't like going out, you're an introvert, you are not really keen on loud spaces, you're not really the social type, you don't like being around a lot of people, and you're telling yourself, I'm going to start going out every weekend, that is just foolishness. Because that's not going to happen. That strategy will tell you that's not going to work for you, because that is not even the kind of person you are. Even when you do manage to go out, you only have a limited social battery. So you are not even able to engage in that environment in your truest, freest, most feminine form, because you're not comfortable. So that will be the wrong strategy. A strategy that would be better if you were an introvert, you don't like being outside, you don't like being in spaces where you constantly have to meet people, is a virtual space. So how can you create opportunities in the virtual space to connect with people? How can you build your visibility there? Strategy, this is what I mean by strategy being specific. Now, if you're somebody that naturally enjoys connecting with people, organic opportunities to meet people, you are your work requires you to interact with your environment on a frequent scale, it makes sense to create opportunities organically for you to connect with the kind of men you want. So that is what I mean by strategic. That's what I mean by being strategic, and more specifically how to position yourself strategically based on the feedback you're getting from. And another level to this is you may find that, like I said, the way men are perceiving and pursuing you in this space is wrong. You don't like the way they're approaching you. You don't like the way they're pursuing you. Maybe they're not pursuing you intently enough, or they're losing interest too quickly. Then strategy is so specific that it will tell you, okay, this is where you need to work on. And that is what I put my clients through inside Dating to Marry program. We tweak, we change, we shift, we formulate based on who you are as a person, because that is going to inform who your partner is. Okay, so that is how you create. So when you're talking about, okay, guys I like don't like me, more to be more specific to this particular topic, it is that detailed. Like, okay, why? What is it about that experience that you're noticing is a common theme, it's a common thread? How can we change the impression? How can we create more opportunities to meet more men? How can we create their desire to pursue? That is how you transform that result to actually reflect what you want, which is them pursuing you more and being more interested in you. Okay, so when I'm working with my clients, that is how I go about, firstly, of course, I like to make sure they hit the ground running, create an opportunity for them organically and virtually to connect with men, using that feedback, using the men that are currently in their circle, if that may be the case. If not, it's fine. Create an opportunity for them to meet men so that within the next 1 to 2 weeks, they are actively coming into contact with the kind of men that will give us feedback. Me and my client, that will give us the feedback to let us know, this is what you need to adjust. This is how you need to adjust it, so that you are creating space for your husband to come into your life. There are 3 general levels. Let me just share this before you step into marriage. First level is you need to meet men. It is because your husband is a man. You need to meet men. And then more specifically, you need to be meeting the right kind of men. And more specifically than that, you need to be going on dates with the right kind of men and creating opportunities for those men to desire to commit to you. And then when you create that desire for the kind of men you want to commit to you, to want to pursue you intentionally for that purpose, guess what? You are looking at a pool of options when it comes to who do you want to commit to and who do you see yourself building a future with. So if you are struggling at any of these levels, that is where you need to focus, because that is what is getting in the way, so to speak, of you meeting your spouse. It is not that, I don't know, you're under some sort of spiritual attack, or that you are in the wrong location, or whatever you may be telling yourself. It is literally that simple, like the examples I just gave, that need to be adjusted. So what I do with my clients is, I just identify where they are. I call it a dating ladder. We identify where they are on the ladder. It's more granular, it's more specific in my program. It's literally outlined into 10 levels, because there are 10 steps you need to take to enter marriage, more specifically based on the 10 kinds of men and the way you will be matching, connecting with them, and committing to them to know what your husband looks like. So when I lay it for them in the dating ladder format, it's easy for them to see, okay, I'm on step number 5 in the ladder, so I really need to work on getting to step number 6 or step number 7. But a lot of you are dating without even knowing where you are. That's the problem. You don't know what part of the ladder you are on. You don't even know there's a ladder. You just assume that everything will work itself out. But that's not going to happen, because that isn't your current experience. You've been doing the same thing, getting the same result, because what you're doing, this is the result of this is the destination of what you've been doing. It's like hoping 2 + 2 will equal 6. It will never equal 6. It will always equal 4. So it's important that in order to get a different result, you need to change a part of your equation. So if I want to get 6, it means I have to make it 2 + 4. 2 + 2 will not give me 6. I need to change a 2 in that equation to 4 to get 6, right? It's the same thing with dating. So this is how specific you want to be when you're talking about, okay, guys don't like me. You want to get granular as to why that's happening, what you need to change. And I think I've given you more than enough to go through. But more specifically inside my program, when we work together for the 6 months, this is how I'm able to get my clients to the point where they are getting into relationships leading to marriage within a year, because we follow a very detailed, specific, and customized process that mirrors the marriage that God has called you to, so that you are intimately aware of what your own path looks like to marriage. Okay, great. So I have a drop your questions. I'll be leaving in the next couple of minutes. And let me see. I have a question here. How do you know the reasoning behind why men either like you or don't like you? You simply just need to understand how men think. It's that simple. Men and women are very different. So it's definitely a skill. I was actually discussing this with a friend the other day. I was telling her how I've just noticed that a lot of women just don't know how men think. When you know how men think, it's very simple. You know, you wouldn't get confused. The problem is you're thinking, you know how that what's it called, that movie or that book says think like a man. The problem is you're thinking like a woman. When you are dating, you need to think like a man. It's kind of like when you want a job, you need to, for lack of a better analogy, you need to think like the person that is responsible for hiring you. What are they looking for? What are the traits that they need for this role? What are the specific qualities and skill sets that they are looking for in a particular individual that they want to hire? It's the same thing that comes to mind when you're thinking about how men think. So when you're thinking about the reasoning behind what men do, I'll give you a simple rule. If you want to know what a man is thinking about, you just look at the way he treats you. It's really that simple. But the problem I've discovered is a lot of you don't want to accept that truth. So you cover it with a lot of lies, excuses, you explain away a lot of nonsense. And that's how you end up emotional. And it's usually because you get emotionally attached. So I am an advocate of what I call casual intimacy, where I show my clients how to create intimate connections with men without getting attached. Because that is part of how you create the desire in men to pursue. When you are able to get close enough to connect, because connection requires proximity. So you need to be close enough to be connected without getting hurt in the process. So I call it casual intimacy, where you're able to talk to, connect with men, create opportunities for them to be free around you, expressive around you, but not get attached. That part is really important, because what it does is it lets you maintain the same energy throughout the process of getting to know them and going on dates, without making them jump to any conclusions. And that is why they pursue, because they now desire exclusivity based on the environment they experience when they're around you. So, you know, I call it casual intimacy. I break it down for my clients on how to do this in a way that makes it easy for them to date the kind of men they want. Is it right for a man to ask you for money, urgent help 1 week after meeting? What you do if he does? I know it's a clear red flag. Well, yeah, it is. Absolutely. So, yeah. It's a very clear red flag. I mean, it's up to you. He may be good for it. He may not be. I don't know. But on a general scale, you don't want to start that. You don't want to start that potential relationship, I should say, based on being a sponsor. Is it okay to borrow a male friend money? If you want to, like, it's completely your choice. No romantic interest. Yeah, that's your choice. You do what you want. I mean, it's your money, it's your friend, whatever you want to do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know if this was helpful. So I'll just briefly go over what I've said so far. I said quite a bit. You really want to identify why guys you like don't like you. You want to ask yourself certain questions that I covered at the beginning of this video. I give you guys a couple of examples. You want to be clear on what about your process needs to adjust to create more opportunities for the men you like to like you, how you can build on your value and lead with your value in a tangible way. Be strategic around how you're connecting with men. Practice casual intimacy in a way that allows you to connect with men that you are actually attracted to and create opportunities for them to be attracted to you. You want to create, room to be pursued. A lot of you are not letting these men breathe. That's your problem. Now, if you want to work with me one-on-one and you want me to help you move from single to married in a year, and you're a 30-plus Christian single woman struggling to enter a healthy relationship and you have a demanding career, then definitely apply for Dating to Marry. It's the link in my bio, first tab. If you're watching this live, it's the link I've pinned. And what will happen is we'll work together for 6 months. I will show you how to get into a healthy, committed relationship leading to marriage in that time frame, so that you are going from single to married in a year. We'll work together on changing your dating process, cleaning up your patterns, making sure you're strategically positioned so that you are being pursued by men that you can't commit to. Okay? Awesome. And when I receive your application and you're the right fit, we'll hop on a call together and we'll talk about changes that I see specifically you need to make to get the result you want in dating. And then we'll discuss what it will look like for us to move forward together. Awesome. So if you have any questions for me about working with me one-on-one, then send me a DM or an email, depending on which platform you're listening to this on. But yeah, the link is in my bio to apply, first tab. So I'll talk to you guys again soon. Take care.